YouTube, welcome back to the Nice Find Wholesale YouTube channel. Today, we're talking about liquidation terms.
Nice Find, a place to find something nice every time.
I know, when I started, it was very, very hard to figure out all the lingo, the jargon, the vocabulary, the terms, the phrases that are used in this industry and in this business by sellers, buyers, suppliers, you name it, you gotta know the term. It's hard making the correct business decisions when you're not educated the lingo that's being used in the industry you're a part of. So today, I'm gonna help you solve this problem and I'm gonna run through a bunch of freight, liquidation, and reselling terms that are commonly used in this industry. All right, so first things first, I think the biggest definition that we all need to learn is what is liquidation? So, where is my handy dandy? I got an eraser.
5 years later.
Back with the eraser. All right, so what is liquidation? Liquidation is the process of selling off assets to generate cash flow back into the business. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. That comes with its own territory. Why would a company liquidate inventory? They either have a ton of overstock, ton of inventory, too much of one item, just things that they need to get rid of. That could be returns, that could be misshipped items, that could be overstock items, that could be seasonal items. When these things happen, warehouses start overflowing and retailers and other companies need to start getting rid of these things. They call up liquidation companies such as ourselves to liquidate the product to generate cash for that inventory that's sitting there and pretty much costing them even more because it's losing warehouse space and storage space. Liquidation, the process of generating cash through the sale of company assets. One of the most important things to learn when purchasing liquidation pallets and truckloads is freight. Freight gets complicated. Freight equals shipping. Shipping equals very, very expensive. So it's very important to learn and know about the way freight functions and works. With freight comes a lot of different terms, acronyms, jargon used by truck drivers, dispatchers, freight brokers, and everyone else in the business that you need to know in order to make the right decision on how to ship your product and how to save the most money possible doing so. So first things first, the most important term used, everybody is familiar with, is F.O.B. You'll see that all the time. F.O.B is actually an acronym, F.O.B. It stands for free on board or freight on board. You Google it, you're gonna get two different definitions, but it essentially means the same thing. It means where is the product coming from? Where is the freight located? And where is it gonna be shipping out of? So when you see somebody say F.O.B. Illinois, F.O.B. North Aurora, right? Or F.O.B. Missouri or F.O.B. Minnesota, that means that this freight that you're trying to purchase, those pallets, that truckload, that inventory is located in this general vicinity. F.O.B. Illinois means it's shipping out of Illinois. And it could be as specific or as generic as one makes it. It just depends what you're shipping and what you're buying. Next term is F.T.L. F.T.L. Very simple. It stands for full truck load. Very self-explanatory if you ask me. If somebody tells you they have an F.T.L. shipment, that means it is a full truckload. And that could mean anywhere from 18 or 20 double pallets or 28 to 30 side-walled turned pallets. So it just depends. When they say F.T.L., that usually means that they're gonna jam-pack that 53-foot semi-trailer to the max, and you're gonna get a very, very full truck load. This term can also be seen without the F.T.L. That usually means truckload. You'll see this on different forums. You'll see it on YouTube channels. You'll see it on different Facebook groups. People say TL, that just stands for truckload instead of saying pallet or the amount of pallets. Next term we have today is L.T.L. If you guys have been with us since the beginning, we've already learned what TL stands for. Truckload, L in front of me, less than truckload. Yeah, less than truckload. It's quite self-explanatory. It means when somebody puts this, let's say I have an Amazon load that's L.T.L, will need to be L.T.L. That's probably they're talking about the fact that it's less than a full truckload and you'll need to get a special carrier to pick up anywhere from 1 to 12, 13, 14 pallets. L.T.L shipments usually go anywhere from 1 to 10 maybe, because once you get around to that 10, 12 pallet range, you're gonna be wanting to ship it as an F.T.L. But I'm gonna save that for another video because we can talk about freight and how to ship stuff and save money all day. Today we're focusing on terms. Next term is easy and self-explanatory as well, but if it's your first time buying these things, it's better to be ready to ship. You'll see this all the time when truckloads get posted for bids or sale. ready to ship pops up all the time. This just means that this load is ready to go. It is in that supplier's warehouse, and it can be picked up within the next 5 minutes, essentially. If you can find a truck and a carrier to pick it up as soon as possible, that's kind of what it means. That they're ready to go. So if you need product, find posts, find truckloads for sale that are ready to ship. That means they're ready to go now. Next term is direct. You'll see this all the time on Facebook groups and forums being posted. Direct means that this truckload is coming out directly out of the facility of the retailer that you're purchasing. If somebody tells you they're shipping Home Depot direct, Walmart direct, Target direct, Amazon direct, that means that that truckload, that pallet is coming out directly out of the facility of the retailer. So it's not making any pit stops at random warehouses. It's not making stops at contract holders. It's not coming to a 3PL. It is getting directly shipped out of the retailer, which brings us to the next term. And pretty much the last shipping term that I would think is one of the most generic ones that you should know when purchasing these type of loads is a 3PL. 3PL is used often at many industries. 3PL just stands for third party logistics company. Essentially, what a 3PL does is they're part of the supply chain management structure, and they are a third party that you can hire and contract out your warehousing and your fulfillment needs. So let's say maybe you're selling a lot on eBay or Amazon, or maybe you are a contract holder that is using a 3PL to bring in loads and ship them out. There's different types of usage for 3PLs. If you're getting into this industry, I guarantee you should be aware and familiar with this term because you're gonna see it a lot. Third-party logistics are very, very important to our industry because they fulfill a lot of the products that we buy. So I think after the 3PL, this is pretty much done with shipping. That kind of wraps up the shipping module, I would say. These are very, very common terms, but I just kind of wanted to clear everything up and make sure everybody's on the same page when purchasing these things because these words can definitely get confusing. So if you guys have any sort of questions on shipping terms, drop a comment. If you think I missed something, drop a comment and I'll go over it next video. This is where we talk about the type of loads you can purchase. When I say type, I'm not talking about the retailer where those things are coming from because there's hundreds and thousands of possibilities, right? And at the top, yeah, I mean, you got Target, Walmart, Amazon, Staples, Home Depot, Dollar General. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of retailers and stores and companies that you can liquidate product for. But the types and the words used to describe the type of words usually tend to be the same. So first things first, what is a very common term? GM. GM stands for general merchandise. Essentially what a general merchandise load is typically it's returns. Typically it's very, very, very high in variety. So you're gonna get hundreds of different SKUs, hundreds of different types of product, and it could be a mini fridge mixed with a bunch of socks, mixed with some underwear, mixed with some detergent, mixed with some food, with some pet food. That's what a GM load is. It's just a giant mix, and it can be a returns, shelf pulls, overstock, anything in between that the store needed to get out. Typically GM loads are loads with things that come out of the retailer's location, the stores themselves. So these items possibly been on the shelf, these items have been in the customer's hands, these items have been messed with and touched. They're slightly a little bit rougher than the other types of loads out there. High value electronics will typically slide right by because you're only getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. After GM loads would be shelf pulls. Shelf pulls are pretty self-explanatory, but shelf pull merchandise means that it is inventory and products that have been on the retailer's shelves are getting taken down. A lot of the times this includes seasonal. Think about it. It was just summertime, right? Everybody's gearing up for the beach. There's beach umbrellas, there's flip-flops, there's bikinis, there's beach towels on the shelves in the stores. But you know, come September, none of those things are gonna be needed. So what are the stores gonna do? They're gonna pull it off the shelf, AKA create shelf pull loads. They're gonna wipe those shelves, dump it into some Gaylords, and those products are new, but they have been messed with, they have been touched, they have been priced out sometimes. They do have stickers and they do have different things that indicate that, hey, this is not essentially a 100% brand new product. But overall, probably a good idea for people that are looking for loads with higher volume of the same SKU and loads for people that are looking for brand new product. All right, shelf pulls, done. Next word, Casepacks. Casepacks, very popular because they're all brand new product. I would say, I don't want to say all, I never guarantee anything in this business. I never guarantee anything in this business.
I never guarantee anything in this business.
But a case pack load will 90% consist of brand new items. They're packed in cases, multiple SKUs, no, I'm sorry, multiple quantities of the same SKU. So you might get, 40 trampolines on a pallet. You're talking about 20 of the same TV stands, right? You're talking about the Head & Shoulders that's packed in 6 packs, and there's 100 boxes of that. Brand new items. Typically, the reason they're getting liquidated or moved out of those facilities is because of some sort of a box damage. But you got to consider, you have 1,000 Head & Shoulders on the pallet. A forklift driver accidentally bumps the pallet with the back of the forklift, maybe with the forks, slices open the bottom 3 boxes. When you're a retailer as big as someone, the Target, Walmart's, Amazon's, you just don't have time to mess with that pallet again. And now all the unit counts off, you're just gonna write off that whole pallet. Right off that pallet, let's liquidate it. Let's get it out. These loads are amazing if you run a retail store, if you sell at the flea market, if you're an eBayer, because it's just one SKU with hundreds of units, right? So if you're an F.B.A. seller, eBay, that means you only have to make one listing and you have 100 items for sale, right? It's a lot easier to sell 100 of the same type of item than it is 100 different items that have 100 different listings. So something to keep in mind. Case pack loads are fun and definitely profitable, but they're also difficult because, you might get stuck with 4,000 to 5,000, tortilla chips or ring lights that are not selling, or a case pack of some sort of, water or something. So case pack loads are great, tons of profit to be made there. The next one that I wanted to cover, it's pretty simple. It's H.B.A. You see this acronym all the time, health and beauty. That's what it stands for. If you see H.B.A., that means you're talking about a health and beauty load. H.B.A. loads are filled with cosmetics, chemicals, sometimes food, sometimes pet food. It's pretty much anything you would find at a drugstore, even candles, things of that nature. They're small, they're compact, they're health and beauty, they're cosmetics, they're chemicals, they're the things that we use so we don't smell every day. Next word I wanted to cover, and this one is the one that bin stores love the most. It's H.P.C. H.P.C. means it is a high piece count pallet or load. High piece count, H.P.C. H.P.C. loads have become very popular lately because of the bin stores blowing up everywhere, because they create the most variety and the most piece count per pallet. So an H.P.C. Gaylord, typically, if somebody tells you they have an H.P.C. Gaylord, they should be at least talking about a 200 to 250 units plus of different SKUs and different variety. These loads come from all different retailers. It's not just Amazon, and it just means that you have a ton of items in a pallet, all usually different, mixed in together with a very, very, very big piece count. So you're talking about 200, 300, 400, 600, 800 items in one pallet. That's what is considered a high piece count pallet. Our next liquidation term that's commonly used in the sellers forums is very simple. It's, where's my black marker? It's just raw. You see this all the time. It doesn't stand for anything. It literally means raw. Raw equals unprocessed, or at least it should. I really hope I'm spelling things correctly because it's gonna be embarrassing, but it's all good. Raw means unprocessed. That typically, when somebody's saying that, that means that, hey, this load or pallet hasn't been messed with. We don't know what's on it. We haven't checked it. We haven't touched it. We haven't played with it. We haven't done anything with it. That's what raw stands for. If you see that, that means nobody has messed with that pallet. It could be a good or a bad thing. I see a lot of people wanting to buy raw pallets, not knowing what that actually means. Raw means that if nobody's touched that, that means that whatever that retailer has threw onto that pallet or Gaylord, that's what you're getting. That could mean that it's a bag of dog food spilled all over some pillows on top of some iPads, right? But if you have, 400 bags of dog food and 2 iPads, that might not be worth it for you, because now you just created a big old mess in your store and garage. Not only is it gonna smell a little bit, it might come with its territory of mice and other rodents that are gonna wanna get into that. Raw doesn't always mean, oh my God, I'm gonna find a ton of electronics. It just means that nobody's touched it, nobody segregated it, nobody categorized it. So something to keep in mind when shopping for your next liquidation pallet. Since we're already on the topic of Gaylords, raws, and unprocessed, what's a Gaylord, you might ask? It is the big old box on top of the pallet. So, pallet, Gaylord. A Gaylord is just a common term used for the pallet. So a pallet is the wooden top and bottom piece, and then the Gaylord is the box. Ranging anywhere from 3 feet to 8 feet. It just depends on what it is, but it's just one giant box that contains a bunch of product. That is a Gaylord. Next, very commonly used liquidation term, or I should say terms, is manifested versus unmanifested. It's super simple. I can break it down to you guys. List versus no list. That's how easy that is. If you have a truckload or a pallet that is considered manifested, you should have some sort of a list, an Excel sheet, Google Doc, whatever it might be, a list of items that are on that truckload or pallet. Unmanifested means no list. Complete opposite of unmanifested pallet. Unmanifested pallets and truckloads do not have a list. You do not know what you're getting. It is a shot in the dark. It is a hope for the best. It is, I'm trusting my supplier to not screw me over type of liquidation load. It's very popular in the liquidation world because, keep in mind, it is companies getting rid of anything and everything that's leaving their warehouses. That does not mean that there's no money to be made. There's a ton of money to be made on unmanifested loads, but you are taking a gamble and you are taking a shot in the dark, since they're unmanifested means that there is no limit. All right, our next liquidation term is very, very popular and important. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, guys, because we are putting out these videos as an educational resource for everyone out there. Really appreciate if you subscribe and like and commented down below. So that pretty much wraps up our video for liquidation terms. G2G got to go because we do have work to do, as always. We don't just mess around on YouTube 95% of the time, I promise. We actually do work. There's 2 or 3 truckloads coming in today and 2 or 3 leaving. So we got some work we got to get done. We got to get some orders staged, and we got to process some pallets as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've learned some liquidation terms. Hopefully this cleared up some of that confusion on that jargon and vocabulary that's commonly used in this space. Please drop a comment if we missed anything. Drop a comment if you have any sort of ideas or terms that you would like us to discuss, and we'll definitely take that into consideration and drop a video about it. Thank you so much, and make sure to subscribe. Nice Find Out.